I thought reaching my goals would finally make life like feeling less stressful, but success brings a lot of pressure, and a lot of persons out there don't know. When I moved from Jamaica as a nurse, as a Jamaican nurse to the US here, I really believe that once I got here, everything would start to make sense. It was later on I realized no, I thought life would be so much easier. It would feel easier because yes, I made it. I made it to the land of opportunity. I make it into America. But what nobody really prepares me for, or they're preparing you for, is the fact that success, it doesn't always remove stress, because sometimes you can be successful and what it does is it changes the type of stress that you carry every single day. And I feel that is what I am experiencing. I remember when I was moving to the States here, I had so much hope. It's a new country I'm coming to. There's going to be a lot of opportunities. There's going to be a lot of possibilities for me out there in my career. But eventually I started realizing that it is not as what I thought it would have been, because the work, it is harder than I expected. The system was different, and even though I was growing professionally, I was basically feeling like I was adjusting alone. And that alone part is what a lot of persons they're experiencing, but they don't really talk about. Because as an international nurse, or as a nurse from Jamaica, yes, I work really hard to get here. I work really hard to becoming a nurse practitioner, but still that feeling, I miss home. I miss my homeland. I don't think that people really understand what it feels like to really miss home, what it really feels like, because missing Jamaica isn't just about missing a place for me. It's more missing my people. It's missing the ease of a conversation. It's missing my family, the family gatherings, the food. Yes, I miss all of that, the laughter. I don't have to always be explaining, having to be finding ways to explain certain things. And sometimes, you're surrounded in your new country with a lot of people, but still you feel very, very far away because everything is just unfamiliar to you here, and you want some kind of familiarity. And then you think about the loneliness that nobody really talks about, because it can be isolating. It can feel isolating, and success can contribute to that as well, because on the outside you have people who are looking on and they just think that you're progressing. But on the inside, it's like you're still trying to figure out things day by day, every single day. You're still learning, you're still, adjusting to a new culture. You're still carrying so much without the strong support system that you once had. And that can feel very heavy. Another thing that I never fully understood was the financial reality of living in America, because I thought becoming a nurse practitioner would automatically, make you start feeling like, you have financial freedom. But what I learned is that in America, everything comes with a bill attached to it. When I was doing my clinicals, there was extra bill that was attached to it. Rent, loans, gas, insurance, taxes. The responsibilities are just there one after the other. So even as you advance your career, your income, it increases, and your expenses, they're also increasing as well. And sometimes you're left wondering, why don't I feel, as far ahead as I would have wanted? Because sometimes you're just feeling like you're one step behind. And that is a feeling that is very hard for us to admit. At least for me, I know it's very hard, because sometimes I feel as though I'm not progressing. Because on the outside, people will think that, you're doing well. You find yourself budgeting, you still find yourself planning, still trying to make everything stretch. And sometimes it can feel very confusing because you've worked so hard to get to where you're at. Then the other thing is, when it comes down to the job reality after, nurse practitioner school, when I graduated, I thought that, yes, no, I'm a board certified nurse practitioner. All the doors are just going to be opening. But the truth is that once you graduate, not because you have a certification or you have a new degree, it doesn't mean that finding the perfect job is easy and it is instant. Because for me, it's a case where I'm still applying, I'm still waiting, I'm still interviewing, I'm still trying to find a place that feels right for me. I do have a job now and I love it, but I still feel like there is more for me out there. And that's the part that can shake your confidence if you're not careful, because some days, yes, I sit down and I wonder, did I make the right decision to go back to school? Did I do something wrong? Why is this happening to me, or why is it not happening faster for me? But the reality is that a lot of persons are not posting these kind of content. They're not talking about their journey online. They're just showing the highlighted reel that just seem like it is perfect. And then you have the pressure. There is this pressure that you're under from, like, family, from your workplace, pressure from yourself, pressure from the fact that, people from back home, they sacrifice so much for you to be here. So even when I am feeling like tired, I'm feeling exhausted, I'm feeling like I want to break or I am about to break, I'm overwhelmed, I find myself still pushing because I don't want to let anybody down. I don't want to fail at anything. And so that is the other thing that you definitely have to be dealing with. Another thing is, most days I find that I am the strong person. I am the strong one. You show up to work and you're the nurse. You are the nurse practitioner. You are the problem solver. You are the one person that persons rely on. And then outside of work, you have your life to deal with. You're still expected to be functioning at the highest. You still have to be strong for your family members. You have responsibilities and you have, your everyday expectations you still need to carry out, and you're human. But there are moments when I have to be very honest with how I'm feeling. I have to be honest and realize that yes, I am exhausted in such a way that I don't even know how to explain it a lot of times. I don't, but I'm feeling exhausted. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Social media doesn't even make things any better for any of us, for myself, because as I say, they only show the highlighted reels. They show the perfect shifts. They show the perfect aesthetics, the perfect, day in the life of a nurse practitioner or the day in the life of a nurse kind of content. But real life is not always like that, because for me, it's more messy. It is tiring. It is emotionally draining. That is what real life looks like for me and feels like for me every single day. And when you realize what reality is, and it doesn't match up with the online, the online post or stories, it can mess with your head sometimes. And as I say, if you're not a strong person, it will, it will lower your confidence. It can lower your confidence. There are days when I feel very guilty for, like feeling burnt out. I really can't say to anyone because I know I should be grateful that I made it, that kind of vibe. But at the same time, yes, I am grateful, but gratitude doesn't cancel exhaustion. Success doesn't cancel out stress. Both of them can exist at the same time. And I am human, and I'm telling you that it exists in this kind of body in my life. So that is another thing that we have to deal with. And then, home. Home is where the heart is. I always miss Jamaica. And sometimes it's hard for me to admit it, but it's not just the place I'm missing. It's the feeling that comes with being a Jamaican or being in Jamaica. The food, the people, the vibe, the energy, the simplicity of life. Because life moves so much different here. It is so much faster. It is so much heavier in so many ways. And sometimes I just miss feeling, fully understood without having to explain myself over and over again. And while I am here building a future, I've realized something that is very important. Being in a new country means you have to figure things out alone by yourself. There's nobody else out here to help you. When you think about the healthcare system, career, wanting to progress in your career, making life decisions, it's all about you. There's nobody else there to help you because you don't have that much of a strong support system. You don't have a strong support system that is here to help you with navigating as you go along. When it comes on to being a nurse practitioner, sometimes I think that, being a nurse practitioner fix everything. It didn't fix everything for me. It solved some of my problems, yes, and I'm grateful. But it also introduced a lot of new problems and challenges that I didn't expect. There are new responsibilities, the expectations that comes with the job, new levels of emotional and mental, distress that it is causing. The load is a little bit heavier. After a long shift, yes, I do go home and I am feeling tired. I don't go home and just switch off a button. I carry a lot of things from work even when I don't want to, because there are patient stories, emotions, decisions, pressure. Yes, those come with me home as well. And I still have to show up the next day. I still have to show up for the persons in my own life after that. Some days I find myself, comparing my journey to others. And this is something that I strongly encourage persons not to do. But when you see other nurses out there, other nurse practitioners online who seem to be so far ahead, they're more settled, they're confident, they're looking more successful. I have to remind myself that, Stacey, you're not behind. You're just on your own timeline. I have to always remind myself that, because what I learned is that success is something that it's not all about just the titles. It's not all about titles. It's about the peace that you get. It's about, finding that balance. It's about how you actually feel when you're alone in that quiet moment. That is what success is. And that is a thing that a lot of persons are not focusing on. That is a thing that somebody out there who is talking about being successful, chasing goals, they're not talking about. Are they having that peace? Are they having that balance? For me, I am still growing. I am still trying to find, that balance in life that I have worked so hard to build so far. And I am learning that it's okay to admit that it's not easy. It's not always easy when you're out here. It's okay. Because in the end, or at the end of the day, success without peace can still feel like it's not complete. You feel incomplete. And that's something that I wish more people would talk about openly and honestly, because some of us are chasing all of these dreams, these degrees and everything. But at the end of the day, we're not finding the balance. We're not having the peace. And then you're thinking, is it worth it? Go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube page here. You can also leave a comment down below. But we talk about nursing stories here, nursing career moves, and just anything as it relates to nursing. Go ahead and be a part of the family, and I will see you in the next video. Until then, bye.